Hi, how are you? My name is Houston, this is Akari, and welcome back to another video. I feel like it's been 20 years since my last upload. I was in a really good schedule of uploading one video, maybe even two a week, especially over that break that I had. A lot of chaos with training and work and just tired, man. We all know what that's like. You're just tired. There are certain things that we make time for outside of the things that we are kind of obligated to do, like, be a good partner, show up to work, exercise. For me, those extra things are like making these videos. While it can be very difficult at times, it's really easy to stress about it. At the end of the day, I'm sure you could guess what I'm about to say. You just got to do what you can with the time you got. A lot of thoughts swimming around in my head though. So let's get back into Death's Door and maybe go over some of them. Okay, here we are. And I remember I got the fireball. I haven't touched this game since that last video, so I'm kind of in the dark here. I gotta like remember how to play such a complicated game too. How am I ever gonna do it? I'm not gonna lie, man, I kind of forgot where to go. I think that I have to go to like the top of this area and like maybe go a different direction towards one of the other doors. Oh wait, never mind. I didn't even finish fighting the witch. Nice. So now I can do this last section, I think. And Hikari's just sitting here chewing my copy of Meditations. So one reason that I haven't been playing this game is because I said that I would only play it when I was making videos, and I got to keep my word. I'm a man of my word. But you know what I have been playing instead of this game? Fire Emblem. I don't know if anybody out there is a fellow Fire Emblem fan, but I recently finished Path of Radiance and I started Radiant Dawn. I'm like 6 chapters into it, and it's definitely as good, if not better, than I ever remember it being when I was a kid. I never really got to get as much into Radiant Dawn as I was into Path of Radiance, but I think it's just because I never really had a Wii. Path of Radiance, though, it feels like the perfect game. I think that for a long time, because I hadn't played it in a long time, it never really occurred to me that it was in my top 5 of all time. But after playing it again, I'm like, and it might be a little bit of recency bias, but it really is incredible. Dude, the Onion Knight guy, he's inside the vat. So many amazing characters, like obviously Ike, and then all the side characters that have such like cool designs, like Tybarn, or you have the Heron clan like Rayson and Leanne, or a bunch of the other Lagoos, but also the Bjork. Like so many of these characters like Mia or Oscar and Boyd and Rolf and like the Black Knight, for instance, they've all just like been in my head for, God, I think that game came out in like 2005. So yeah, I've had these characters in this game in my head for like 20 years. And it's just so cool how these characters in these games can stick with you for so long. Like, you don't realize that they're such an integral part of not really just like who you are, but they're obviously more important than you remember them being. I think that when I played Fire Emblem as a kid, I didn't fully appreciate the story in it. I always knew it was good, but I guess that I maybe didn't pick up on some of the things like the diplomatic elements of the story. It's a classic JRPG though. There are some gods, there are different races fighting, and an empire, big evil empire invading a smaller like nation state. So yeah, it's just a fantastic game, and it was such a joy to replay it at 30 years old. All right, this grandma from Spirited Away has stolen my Onion Knight friend. Hikari has decided to get in my lap instead of laying on the desk in front of me, because she just has to lay wherever is most inconvenient. All right, I got enough souls here to upgrade my strength again. I was telling this story in the Discord with my buddies, but I first played Path of Radiance when I was probably like 10 years old, like right when it came out. There was this kid down the street from me. His name was Jake, and Jake had every game imaginable. I didn't really have a lot of games growing up because we just didn't have a lot of money. I became friends with Jake, and I went over there and I would watch him play games a lot. While watching him play games, I was like, oh my God, this game looks so cool. And he was playing Path of Radiance. And he's like, oh, well, dude, I've already beat it. I'm just replaying it right now. But if you want, you could just borrow it. And so I borrowed it, obviously fell in love with the game. And I actually never ended up giving it back to him. So Jake, if somehow you are watching this, I'm so sorry. I never had a Wii, so I never actually really got to play through Radiant Dawn like I was saying. But my best friend growing up, and whose wedding I actually went to over the summer, he had a Wii and he had Radiant Dawn because he also loved Fire Emblem. I'm sure if I brought it up to him now, because he doesn't really play video games anymore, he'd be like, oh my God, man, I completely forgot about those games. But I'm sure that he would still remember how much time we spent like replaying the games over and over again. So yeah, all that to say, I'm really excited to play through Radiant Dawn, and to understand it and to like really get more out of all those characters that I grew up loving. One game that I've been thinking about a lot lately is Witcher. That game is a big monster to tackle. That's a big beast to slay. But I've never actually played through it, and I really, really want to. Pirate Yakuza comes out soon as well, so who knows if I'm going to play that right off the bat, or if I'm going to end up putting that one on the backlog for a while, because that's going to be a very long game, I'm sure. I kind of feel like I'm not allowed to play that until I play all the other Yakuza games, though. Another game I've been thinking about a lot lately is Metaphor. I put it on my wish list on Steam because I just don't really want to pay $70 for a game that I am not confident that I am going to like. I mean, I love JRPGs. I think they're awesome, but let's be honest, man. That's like a 80-hour game or something like that, and it might be a little bit difficult for me to finish it. Honestly, other than games, I've just been running, obviously, and today was my first long run where I didn't really have any pain, and I ran at a faster pace than what I was like prescribed to do. So that is a really wonderful sign. I'm learning that there are a lot of ebbs and flows in recovery from a running injury. One day it'll seem like everything is fine, and then another you're like, wow, I really feel like I'm just back to square one. It seems like learning to understand that is teaching me a lot about what it means to be on the path that I'm on. And because of that and the path that I'm on, I was thinking about that wording and how we think about our lives as, you know, like, well, as paths, right? Like, like what kind of path am I on? Am I on the right one? Is, I think, the question that most of us are asking most of the time. And I mean, if you ask me, that's totally an understandable question to be asking yourself all the time. As I was thinking about this stuff, I thought to myself, I wonder what certain contemplatives have said about the path. I know that, you know, the Eightfold Path in Buddhism is a thing, and I know that certain sects of Buddhism, I'm not really sure if all of them do, but a very standard teaching in Buddhism is that the path is the practice, or the practice is the path. Obviously, we all want to get to this point, right? Like, whatever that point is with whatever task we're trying to do, we want to finish. But at the end of the day, you kind of realize like you're never going to arrive, right? The future never arrives. The future never shows up because it is always fleeting. It's always gone before you even get there. You little shit. So while reading up on this stuff and the path and like thinking about my injury and just like my creative practices like this stuff, I was just trying to find what certain contemplatives in history may have said. One thing that I picked up was from the poet David Whyte. And I've been familiar with David's work for several years now, but I admittedly have not got like very deep into it. But he has this great little passage about how do you know you're on the right path? And he says, like, how do you know you're on the right path? Because it starts to disappear. And he said, how do you know that you're doing something radical? Because you can't see where you're going. And I had to look this last bit up because he really does have a way with words. If you're curious about his work, or if you're into poetry, like, I admittedly am not like very deep into poetry, but I always love how David frames emotions, especially in his book Contemplations 2, where a lot of the poems, or all of them, are just like this one word emotion, like grief, sadness, happiness, joy, sorrow, whatever. Choose your emotion. And then he has the poem written around that word, or that word is the theme. He just has such a way with words. And so this last bit, I feel like it has to be verbatim. But he says, and everything you have lent on for your identity has gone. And so you are going to enter the black contemplative splendors of self-doubt. And at the same time, you're setting out on this radical new path. I just especially love that first bit. How can you know you're on the right path? Because it disappears. And any time that you are entering into this new area of self-discovery and this experience of unfamiliarity, you are giving yourself up to discovery. Like you have to be in a position of curiosity, and you have to really be as open-minded as possible and accept whatever thing is going to come your way. The great Buddhist teacher Joseph Campbell also said something along these lines, and it's something like, if you can see the path laid out in front of you, then you know you're on someone else's. Grandma boss fight. Here we go. Hi, Grandma. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What the hell is... Oh my god, that's so silly. Oh my god, easy reads. First try, no hit. See, 1 minute you're talking about the eightfold path, the path of a human being. Next minute you're fighting the grandma witch of the urns from Spirited Away. That's just life right there. But yeah, man, it's tough to think about the path that you're on, and if it's the right one, and if you're making the right decisions, and how can you know? But it just seems like you could never know. Just want to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction on all the paths that I'm on. Am I moving in the right direction with my relationships, with my fitness, my injury? It seems like some questions are just not meant to be answered when you're asking them. Oh yeah, I just upgraded my speed. Now I can swing this sword hella fast. The whole TikTok ban is pretty interesting. Who knows if it's being used as a spying platform. On one hand, you have all these people that are using this platform to make a living. On the other hand, or on a couple other hands, you have a ungodly amount of misinformation on that app. An unfathomable amount of misinformation. So as somebody that's very concerned with where we are headed in terms of how information spreads and how susceptible we are to mis and disinformation, I do wonder if it's maybe a bit of a good thing that that app is disappearing or being banned, if it even does get banned. Who knows? But it makes you wonder, because I mean, most of these people are probably uploading that same content on, say, Instagram or YouTube Shorts. So yeah, that can be very concerning when it comes to TikTok. But again, a lot of people are making a living off this thing. I wish people were making a living in a way that was maybe a bit more ethical. I'm not going to act like I'm some patron saint or anything like that, but every other video on that app is a link for the creator shop, which apparently most creators make most of their money through. And I swear to God, every single product that is being shilled on that platform is a drop shipped piece of shit that will disintegrate after like 3 months of use. As much as I would love for people to manufacture their products in the States and for the quality to be higher on these things, I know that that's not always possible for everyone, but I think that it really just feeds into this awful part of our consumer culture. I'm not saying that everybody needs to be making content that is profound, and I've talked about this before, but the joy of being able to put your voice out there is so hopefully you can help people. And I understand that, especially when it comes to a lot of the misinformation, it's like somebody that thinks the earth is flat, they think that they are helping people like see the truth when they talk to you about the firmament or the earth being flat or the great ice wall or whatever, dude. But these people are stupid. The really shitty part about every single person getting a voice is that you would think that the good ideas would always rise to the top in an ocean of bad ideas, or just in an ocean of ideas in general. But the obnoxious and the destabilizing stuff, the stuff that really gnaws at your emotions, that's the stuff that rises to the top. And a lot of the time, the truth isn't fun like that. I mean, it could be the truth like a scandal, for instance, like Watergate or Epstein or whatever. Those truths can be pretty crazy. They can be elevated to levels like negative stuff can. But when we're so used to a certain type of information, say the earth being a globe or an oblate spheroid, whatever you want to call it, those things sound boring to us because they have been in our heads ever since we were kids. So then when a bunch of new people come along, I mean, well, they're not new to history, but they're new, maybe new to you, and they start telling you that everything you learned was wrong. All this stuff that you've ever been taught, it's not real. That sounds great. That sounds fun. That sounds exciting. Yeah, man, these platforms just push that stuff so hard, and it sucks. And again, TikTok's not the only one that does that. It's short form content is very special in that way, where it's easy for people to just give you these little bite-sized pieces of, say, pseudoscience, and you get so bamboozled that you don't even realize that you're being bamboozled, as Carl Sagan would say. Yeah, I mean, kind of just some word vomit over this whole TikTok situation, but I think it's going to be interesting, you know, when new president comes in, and will he put that 90-day suspension on the ban? It's pretty wild that the Supreme Court was a 9-0 vote on it. Exciting times, for lack of a better word. So yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, I'm always going to be uploading on this site, and you can find me at Instagram too. And I'm always shit posting on my stories, posting about my life on there, running content, all that stuff. I almost never plug my Instagram on here. If you want to follow me a little bit more closely on just life and not just when I upload on YouTube here, then go ahead and check out my Instagram. It should be in the bio or the description below this video. But yeah, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I hope you've had a great start to your year so far. Try your best to not stress too much about the future, its arrival, and what might be the correct path in your eyes or most people's eyes, because a lot of the time it's really hard to tell. When I say these things, I'm sort of reminding myself as well, because the anxiety has flared up a little bit for me the past week and a half. Couldn't tell you why, but I'm currently doing some soul searching. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.